Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and today I have a music book, music history and music book for you for your consideration. This is one of the books I got when I was on vacation in Tennessee. I've gotten some of this publisher's books before. They are quite the mix of history as well as games or stories, music, a lot of folklore in them. This is published by Native Ground Music. This one was in 2023. Let's kind of dive in. There's a lot in here. That's why I want to jump in. So, rural roots of bluegrass, songs, stories, and history. And he's not kidding. This is packed in. There are a number of thanks, huge amount of photo credits here. And here we have the table of contents. I mean, it's here, and then here, and here, and then we finally hit the preface. So 3 sides of a page are the contents alone, and there are a number of features in the back as well. So we have preface, introduction, romancing the rural homestead, the roots of bluegrass music, Tin Pan Alley, the roots of gospel music, the Monroe Brothers, the National Barn Dance, those magic crystals, Charlie and Bill in studio, Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys, Bill Monroe on the Opry, 2 cents worth of music theory, transposing, using a capo to transpose, the wheel of transposition, singing with the guitar, singing with the mandolin, singing with the banjo, backing up songs with the fiddle, singing harmony, and before you start singing. And then you may think these are all songs after that. Not exactly. So we have A Beautiful Life, All the Good Times Are Past and Gone, Amazing Grace, Angel Band, Are You Tired of Me, Darling? And then you see underneath that it's indented and it says The Lilly Brothers. So you can see every now and then there's something indented. So some of the songs have feature stories about them, either about a particular band or singer or style, we'll say. I will warn you, I got this as a book to read. I was on vacation. So read in the hot tub right before bed. Thought it would be a nice, relaxing book. Learn lots of local history. I always love to learn local history when I go out. This is not necessarily a bedtime book. I'll get to that. Stay tuned. Here's the preface. It says, it's been more than 20 years since I wrote my last book on bluegrass. When it came out in 1981, we called it the Backpack Bluegrass Songbook. After all these years in up-team printings, it's still going strong. So why write another bluegrass songbook now? The answer is quite simple. In 2000, the Coen brothers released the film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was almost as if a bombshell had exploded. For traditional music, things would never quite be the same again. What did the movie do? It opened up the ears to a new generation to the roots of bluegrass music. Suddenly, college-age students with purple hair, tattoos, and nose rings became interested in American roots music, including bluegrass. And it talks kind of really funny about these old, craggy old-timers, and they're just shocked that these youngins want to learn more. So he tells you he actually discovered bluegrass some 40 years ago, living in the home state of California. He was far from the Blue Ridge Mountains, but he had been exposed to the real thing when legends like Bill Monroe and Flatt & Scruggs played in his hometown. He was hooked and determined to learn to play, so he copied down the words to his favorite songs and thought he was all ready to start singing and playing bluegrass, and he still discovered something big was missing. Playing the notes and singing the words did not make it bluegrass, not authentic bluegrass anyway. I then set myself the goal of figuring out what made playing this music so elusive. I'll leave that for you to find out. That's in the introduction. Neither one of these is terribly long. The preface is 1 side of a page. The introduction is 1 page front and back. Then we have Romancing the Rural Homestead. I love this. It even gives you like a list of words of rural image. A list of words that are rural images found in songs. So what does it have? The single most potent symbol of bluegrass music is the old homestead. Sitting high on a hill overlooking the valley below, the log cabin or farmhouse represents the heart of the rural family. It was here in the rural homestead that most of the living of an earlier era took place. Before there were roads and bridges and the easy transportation of automobile, life happened around the home. Many people living on remote family farms spent their entire lives within a few miles of their home, just as their parents and grandparents before them. Both for these people and for those whose hearts were torn when they left the farm for jobs in the city, the southern home place was sacred. It's no wonder that the images of the rural South homestead find their way into so many bluegrass songs. In their own way, each of these songs expresses the longing to return to an earlier time when all was safe and secure at the little cabin home on the hill. I have friends that are from more rural counties, and they still go visit the rundown log cabins of their great-great-great-grandparents. It's still a thing. There's still that romantic element that exists within some families. It talks about people in the South did welcome a lot of the changes and innovations, but some things stay the same. You have that longing for home and family. There's then a few pages on the roots of rural bluegrass. Easy to see when there's a new section. The photos are excellent throughout. That's probably a longer section on that one. And then Tin Pan Alley, letting you know what Tin Pan Alley was. I did find some of this when we stopped in Bristol. We went to their country music museum there and learned about some of these things. So this book really expanded on a lot of the topics I learned about that museum. So what was Tin Pan Alley? Fueled by a surge of interest in the newest musical styles, song publishers were running their presses at full capacity. The origins of business of producing popular printed music goes back at least to the Civil War, when songs were found to be powerful tools for promoting the war effort on both sides. Songs were used to rally patriotism, boost morale, harden conviction, and comfort the homesick and weary. In an age when singing was as universal as speaking, songwriters and publishers on both sides of the Civil War found that people were hungry for new songs to express the intense feelings that were produced. As the Civil War dragged on, the South found it increasingly difficult to produce printed music. It had traditionally imported its printed music from the North, and now found it lacked enough printing presses, spare parts, ink, music type, and even paper. By the war's end, some Southern publishers had to resort to printing songs on the back of wallpaper. For the North, the Civil War gave a powerful jumpstart to the already developing music industry. For them, it was just a matter of plugging newly composed Civil War songs into their already existent distribution and sales network. Although the most powerful publishing house during the Civil War was Chicago's Root and Cady, by 1880, America's publishing capital had moved lock, stock, and barrel to New York City. It was here where the action was. New York became home to countless music and dance halls where the latest pop hits of the day were showcased. By 1903, many of the publishers moved to 28th Street, which was nicknamed Tin Pan Alley. What happened there? Why was it such an influence? Keep reading for more. The roots of gospel music comes on. It didn't take long for many of the string bands who worked the rural schoolhouse kerosene circuit to discover that even though audiences flocked to their shows to stomp their feet, laugh at the jokes, and even get up and dance, it was religious strongs that struck the deepest chord. There's, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, so 2 pages front and back on gospel. Then we hit on the Monroe Brother, the National Barn Dance, those Magic Crystals. So it's telling you about, sometimes it was a format or a radio show, and sometimes it's going to tell you about a particular band. Let's get into the music. This is telling you a little bit more about how to play, how to use a capo, the wheel transposition, letting you know how to make music in different keys, basically. Singing with the guitar. So there are some chords here, both for the guitar and for the mandolin. Same for the banjo. And 3 notes within the chords for backing up songs with the fiddle. A little bit on singing, harmony, and a little bit of bluegrass etiquette. There's an unwritten rule in bluegrass that I've now written down. Even if you're able to do it, avoid playing the melody along with the singer. Your turn to play the melody will come when it's your break or solo. Until the spotlight shines on you, concentrate on playing backups. So some little tips interspersed. That's in a little gray box. Remember, like we had those words or images commonly found about rural homestead life. So that's a feature throughout the book. Here is the first song, A Beautiful Life. And it tells you a little bit about hymn books, you get the tune, all the extra verses are down here, and here's a little bit of history about this. In the days when hymn books were few and far between, song leaders would line out or deacon out each phrase of a hymn for the congregation to follow. A Beautiful Life, composed by William M. Golden in 1918, was undoubtedly influenced by this practice. This hymn is usually performed as a quartet, and each phrase is sung by the lead voice, which is then echoed by the other members of the quartet. On the chorus, the bass singer gets a chance to sing lead. When the Monroe brothers recorded it in Charlotte, North Carolina on January 28, 1938, amazingly enough, they sang it as a duet with Bill singing bass. On March 31st, 1958, almost exactly 20 years later, Bill recorded it again with the Bluegrass Boys. This time, he sang tenor. Now, if you're wondering what it talks about them recording, here's the thing. The music industry put out money. There were like these open casting calls, and whoever recorded a song first got to record it, basically. So a lot of these songs were traditional, many variations. People made them their own. But once these songs got recorded, they became more static. It was that person's version that was kind of pushed forward. And I think they ended up with the rights to it, even though it was a song that like everybody knew and sang. So interesting take on that. It's really interesting to see how that plays out here as well. Let me find some more. These appear to be alphabetical. When it's not alphabetical, you can see, like, here's a little bit of history and then a song about the Blue Ridge Mountain Blues. But then we have something about a musician that's involved somehow with this song. He was among the first musicians to record Blue Ridge Mountain Blues. He did it on September 10th, 1924. He was actually blinded as a child and went on to become one of the most influential of the early country guitarists. The Carter family is in here. Oh, you get a full page front and back about the Carter family. Big family, big influence there on music. Some of the others get a couple pages. Some of the things I noticed. Let's see here. Some of them are about cheating. Some of them are other things. Oh, so here is Down in the Willow Garden. It's on page 71. I quickly realized singing this, they talk about it. The song got wide exposure when it was recorded in 1927 and then in 1937. It was recorded in 1947. And he met Charlie Monroe at Camp Springs, North Carolina in 74 and asked him where he learned the song. And he said that his mother used to sing it when she was a kid. Zeke Morris bristled when I told him Charlie's stories. He said, he got that from me, is the way Zeke put it. In my recent conversation with 96-year-old Wade Maynard, Wade said the original title for that song was Rose Connolly. Instead of calling it that, I called it Down in the Willow Garden. I really don't know where the old song come from. I done a lot of songs that came from the old country, them English ballads. I had a sister who would sing a lot of those old-time ballads, that went way back. And it starts out, Down in the Willow Garden, where me and my love did meet. There we sat a courtin', my love dropped off to sleep. I had a bottle of burglar's wine that my true love did not know, and there I poisoned my own true love down under the banks below. This is a murder ballad, but if you've ever heard Sally Gardens, down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. Yeats made this song famous in English literature. I've sung this song before when I was a music student back in my early days of college. So Sally Gardens, the Gaelic, and I'm not going to say the word right, Salic, which is kind of like Sally, or Salix in Latin, actually means willow. So they knew what the word meant and changed it. Isn't that interesting alone? This is to the tune of Sally Gardens, and it has lovers meeting under a tree. But after that, there's nothing similar. This is horribly what's called a murder ballad. And you could be singing along because they're alphabetical and then suddenly run into a murder ballad. Some of them are, again, like, oh, I wish, I'm in the war now. I wish I could go home. Remember the good old days and Mom, Pa. And then you hit to a lot of murder ballads. Young ladies, don't go out with them walking. Even if you're engaged, I suddenly felt like you shouldn't go out walking with your true love late at night, especially not by a creek, and you should check him to see if he has knives on him before you go, and definitely if he has a shovel, don't go with him. These are lessons I learned from this book. It was quite horrific. Yeah, there's a number of them there. It's weird. And then there's some that are lovely. Lovely little love songs. So they are interspersed. Again, they're alphabetical, so there's no warning before you get to the song which of the genres it is. So, Wayne, if you're looking for a note to improve it, you could come up with a little symbol, like a little dagger if it's a murder ballad or something. I'm just saying, you can't always tell. Yeah, this one here, Katie Dear. It sounds nice. Oh, Katie Dear, go ask your mama if you can be a bride of mine. If she says yes, come back and tell me. If she says no, we'll run away. And then, oh, Willie dear, there's no use asking. She's in a room a-taking rest, and by her side is a silver dagger to slay the one that I love best. Oh, Katie dear, go ask your father if you can be a bride of mine. If he says yes, come back and tell me. If he says no, we'll run away. Oh, Willie dear, there's no use asking. He's in his room a-taking rest, and by his side that silver dagger to slay the one that I love best. Then he picked up that silver dagger and strove it through his weary heart, saying, goodbye, Katie, goodbye, darling, at last the time has come to part. And then she picks up the, like, it just even, you're thinking it can't get worse. It does. It's actually called from a number of different names, apparently. Yes, and it says on page 104, murder ballads must have had a mysterious, alluring properties because they are always the songs that are remembered best. Often called the drowsy sleeper and the silver dagger, the original ballad can be traced back to England in the early part of the 19th century. The first recording was on June 9th, 1926 by Kelly Harrell, who called it Oh Molly Dear, Go Ask Your Mother. The Callahan's January 3rd, 1934 recording was so popular it was released on at least 7 different record labels. Now, when I think of bluegrass, I do not think of murder ballads. So when did things change? I don't know. There's lots of really fun songs here too. Sorry, I get caught up on the murder ballads. It's not hard. What's at the back of the book? It does have an index. Oh, sorry. There's recommended readings. So he's giving you bibliography, basically. Index of musicians. It's alphabetical, and there's 3 sides of pages on that alone. And then there is an alphabetical index of songs, which is funny because the songs are alphabetical to start with, but if you're looking for a particular one, you can look, and that's just on one page. I can show you here. I'll hold it up a little bit, so if you're looking for a song, you can see if it's in this book. Great history book. Totally not what I thought, but it is pretty easy. You can easily transpose any of these, should you want to, into dulcimer. It'd be a little weird. The dulcimer I play is mostly for prayer, so I'm probably never going to play a murder ballad on it, but there's more than that in here. It's just what I got caught up on. Friends, may God bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and to be gracious unto you. May the good Lord bless you. In nomine Patris, Affiliate, Spiritus Sancti.